Sheriff Williams is calling in the FBI for the first time since he took office. At stake, community unrest over the shooting of Vernell Bing Jr., a father shot and killed by a JSO officer last month in Springfield. The shooting has led to protests and calls for an independent oversight, which is now happening.
Our News4 Jax team of reporters has covered every angle tonight. Chris Parento spoke to Bing's family and to civil rights groups. The I-Team's Jim Piggott and Lindsey Gardner. They're digging into a similar case in Jacksonville from more than a decade ago that never brought answers. Jim will tell us why. We begin with Lindsey.
Well, Kent, the calls from the public were for an independent investigation. Tonight, we know JSO will stop just short of that. It will investigate this shooting internally as usual. Then their findings will be reviewed by the FBI. And FBI agents will then pass those same findings on to the Department of Justice, who will then ultimately decide if Bing's civil rights were violated. It's a process the I-Team took to 2 experts for key insight. Sheriff Mike Williams standing with the FBI today to announce agents will now review the recent officer-involved shooting of Vernell Bing Jr.
As we do this in an effort really to bring some confidence to the community about the processes that we're going through right now.
Because Bing was shot by an on-duty police officer, federal agents will oversee if Bing's civil rights were violated. Former FBI agent Tony Charbot tells the I-Team what the public should now expect.
The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office doesn't have jurisdiction over civil rights, federal civil rights violations. So certainly there will have to be interviews done by the FBI of JSO officers that were present, anyone with knowledge. They'll conduct a thorough investigation.
The case has sparked protest and outcry for this, outside investigators to come in. It's something Charbot says won't sway federal agents.
From my own experience, the Bureau's not swayed by an independent investigation. From my own experience, the Bureau's not swayed by, public opinion. They're going to conduct a fair and thorough investigation.
News4 Jax crime and safety analyst Gil Smith tells the I-Team this is a positive step forward for the community.
When Mike Williams came into office last year, one thing he said is he was going to be transparent. I think this is a sign of that.
Much of the outcry is that JSO investigates their own officer shooting, so the I-Team called other large police agencies all across the state of Florida today, and this is what we found. Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office and the Tampa Police Department handled their reviews internally just like JSO. However, we did find other large agencies call in outside investigators every time, and those are with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Those agencies include the Orange County Sheriff's Office, the Orlando Police Department, the Miami-Dade Police Department, and the Miami Police Department. Kent?
Thank you, Lindsey. For weeks, groups have been calling for an independent review of this case, saying it's time for another set of investigators to take a look at the facts. Channel 4's Chris Parento spoke to members of those groups and Bing's family. So joining us live from the Sheriff's Office, Chris, what is Bing's family saying about getting the FBI involved?
Vernell Bing Jr.'s mother told me she's very happy that this is moving forward and that the FBI will review the findings of JSO's investigation. She says that she's hopeful that in the end, all of the facts in this case come out.
I'm just speechless. They basically took part of me.
Vernell Bing Jr.'s family and community groups have been calling for a non-JSO review of this case. Now that the FBI is involved, they're hoping more information comes out.
We're very happy to see that the FBI has introduced itself into this situation. We've never been happy with the internal investigations. We've never been happy with the fox guarding the hen house.
Bing was shot and killed by JSO officer Tyler Landerville last month after a police chase. JSO says Bing's car hit Landerville's cruiser before he got out of the car. What's causing the most concern for some is JSO's policy of not having outside agencies review its officer-involved shootings. The Southern Christian Leadership Conference says it's happy this review is happening and being made public.
They always come up with the very same results. We need to have this outside scrutiny. It's necessary for accountability and trust to be developed and improved between JSO and this community.
Bing's mother told me today she knows that none of the findings of this investigation or this review will bring her son back. But she and other friends of Vernell Bing Jr. are hopeful that if anything comes out in this investigation that shows that Officer Landerville acted against policy or against the law, that he is held accountable. Live downtown, I'm Chris Parento, Channel 4, the local station.
Now, the I-Team has been hard at work looking into other times the FBI and other agencies have been called in to investigate. 12 years ago, 2 people were killed at the hands of the Sheriff's Office, and the FBI and Justice Department investigated. Channel 4's Jim Pickett was there when that was announced and shows us why we never heard any results from one of those investigations. Jim.
You know what I want to do? I want to take you back in some time here. It was 12 years ago. I was standing right here on these steps. That's when then Sheriff Rutherford said that there was an FBI investigation and a federal probe into the deaths of 2 African Americans here in Jacksonville at the hands of the police officers. Well, since that time, we've tried numerous times to get the results of that probe. We haven't had any success. It was closed. We just couldn't see it. And that has concerned a lot of people. So I want to take you back. I'm going to show you part of that story I filed right here in 2004.
It's open season against African Americans.
It's statements like that which have put Sheriff John Rutherford on the offensive.
What I'm worried about is the public trust for this agency.
So bothered, he wants the FBI and others to investigate the sheriff's office. It all stems from the death of 2 African Americans who died while in police custody. First, this man, Sammy Lee Evans. He was killed last week by a rookie officer who has since resigned. Witnesses say Evans was slammed to the ground and died as a result of those injuries. And then there was the death of Ezra Jones, who died in jail after he was placed in this restraining chair. Today, the sheriff announced he's invited the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office to investigate his department to see if there are civil rights violations.
And I'm going to call this a defining moment for the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office.
We kept checking for the results of that report. This is a letter we sent in 2008, nearly 4 years after the announcement. Our request was denied by the Department of Justice, and the report was sealed. We couldn't see the results. I asked Isaiah Rumlin, who heads up the NAACP in Jacksonville and was the man who spoke at the beginning of our story, if he's disturbed by the fact that the reports were never released.
We never did hear the results from that investigation. Never did. As it relates to what's happening today, well, that the sheriff, once the investigation is completed, that there will be a full reporting to the entire community to see exactly what happened.
And Rumlin did tell me today he knows this investigation could take some time. I also put in some calls to former Sheriff John Rutherford, who is now running for Congress, to see what he has to say about all of this. The fact that that investigation has never been made public, but we've not heard back from him. We're live downtown, Jim Pickett, Channel 4, the local station.